Kansas City has been a destination for people of hope and faith since its founding. But today, hope seems to be strained. Conversely, God has plans to prosper Kansas City, plans to offer Kansas City a hope and a future. We have the old and true story of the hope of the gospel of Jesus sent to free us from hopelessness and evil. That gospel of Christ is in us. The Love KC Faith Show will tell the amazing stories of love and faith of everyday common people, often miraculous. Join us and listen in as we, like Jesus, stretch out our arms to serve and love. The Love KC Faith Show with Drew and Brian will change your perspective, increase your faith, and prove to you that we have already won. Good morning, Kansas City. Hey, waking up. We woke Brian up there. I think your microphones were a little too loud.
I think, yes.
Wow, that was a loud time.
That was.
We have got it now.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys this morning?
Oh, man, I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm really good.
Emma's okay because she got her Starbucks.
Yeah. Did you?
I did.
Oh.
In my Christmas cup. You know what? Sometimes you just need to be a basic girl and just go to Starbucks and get a Christmas cup.
Yep. Second place.
Mario's dragging a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes things happen. But I feel good. I had Maps coffee this morning. I'm feeling pretty good. It was pretty nice.
Well, good. That wakes you up.
Hey, so this morning we're going to talk. We're going to be a little controversial today because people don't like this topic. It's the Church of, how do you say it in your world?
Laodicea.
Laodicea. Brian, are you familiar with the story?
I am.
And it is, the main topic is lukewarmness.
Yeah.
Lukewarm.
It's amazing. Wow.
There was a famous preacher that started to change my life. He had a famous sermon called Lukewarm and Loving It. And he talked about the American church is lukewarm and loving it. So before I read this, I just want to say, when I think of lukewarm water, what do you guys want to? Is that what you want when you go to a coffee shop? Give me a lukewarm coffee.
No. And
what happens when you put the lukewarm coffee in your mouth? Do you even like coffee, Brian?
I used to, but I'm not a big coffee drinker right now.
Yeah. So what's your favorite drink right now?
Well, I usually stick to water.
Yeah.
But then I have to hydrate, so I'm buying those like the Powerade.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of like Gatorade, but without any sugar.
Now, do you drink those lukewarm?
I drink them warm.
You drink them warm.
Yeah, just warm.
But
it's actually better for your digestion.
What about lukewarm?
I don't think I've had anything lukewarm.
Doesn't sound appealing, does it?
Certainly wouldn't want coffee lukewarm.
No.
And you don't want soup lukewarm. Have you ever tried to rewarm something up in the microwave after you have it the night before, and then it's just not quite it?
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
You either eat it cold or hot.
Correct. Pizza, cold or hot.
Or hot.
Yeah, lukewarm. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ew.
Cold pizza's okay.
It
Yeah,
is, honestly.
it's okay.
As a teenager, I ate tons of cold
I've done
pizza.
cold pizza a lot in my life.
You know, my father would leave pizza out all night.
Really?
All night long.
All night?
On the shelf, just on the counter, and then he'd have it again in the morning.
No.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I mean, I think people did that in college, but they weren't overly sober.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
That was a very college methodology. I've seen a 2 or 3 day old pizza go in someone's mouth.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh.
Because, there's enough alcohol in their mouth probably to kill anything that's
Oh,
in
my
there.
gosh. That's just horrifying.
Isn't that horrible?
Yeah, we're not going to put that on the food show.
That's major lukewarmness.
So what does lukewarm mean then?
Well, the Bible talks about lukewarm being something that's so gross. It says, because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm going to vomit you out of my mouth. Whoa. That's some strong language.
It is strong language.
Yeah.
It's very intense.
Vomit. I think that's the only time the Bible uses the word vomit.
Really?
I think so. I can't think of another time.
Not offhand.
Yeah. So if it's so bad, like a tepid, lukewarm cup of coffee, so what does that look like to be lukewarm today in your faith? Neither hot nor cold as a faith people.
I think it's that verse in James. I think it's in James, reads the word but doesn't do what it says is like a wave tossed to and fro from the ocean. Am I combining verses? But basically, like, you read the word but you're not doing it. So it's like reading the word, knowing what it says, and not putting it into action.
It's a mental exercise.
Yeah, so you're just... Or it could be that you're not reading it at all, and then you think you're doing it.
I see.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
It could go either way, so...
Yeah.
I think it's like a person that doesn't show a lot of enthusiasm or interest in any kind of subject.
Yeah.
So if you're not interested or you're not enthusiastic about something, then you're lukewarm. Either good or bad.
Right.
You're just kind of right there.
Yeah, like meh.
Kind of just right in the middle and just really don't care.
Did you see that Emoticon movie about 5-8 years ago?
I don't think so.
There's a little emoticon, and he goes on through life, and he's a little character, and he's the meh emoticon.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? It's really cute. But the point is, he's tired of being that, kind of that meh. Nothing's really interesting him, nothing.
Right.
But the world, and when I say the world, just day to day, we're all in it. There's a pressure around us that makes us or influences us to be lukewarm, doesn't it?
Yes.
Can
100%.
Can you describe the pressure of being lukewarm?
Well, I think...
Do you know what I'm talking about, Brian?
I'm a little lost.
Okay, so before you answer him, but just this pressure to be lukewarm, let me give you an example. So, a friend of mine owns a shop, and they put Christian music on in the shop. And their general manager comes in and says, "Oh, we can't, let's not play that because we're going to offend somebody." And so there's this pressure to sort of not offend, not make waves, not, even though the intent of turning on Christian music wasn't to make some sort of bold statement. It was just, hey, this is music that I like. It makes me excited in the morning. So there's a pressure to not do that because even though you're excited, someone else may be unexcited. So we don't want that. So if we'll all just stay lukewarm, then we'll all get along.
Mm-hmm. Cater to the needs of
the imaginary people too, because no one's complaining about it.
Right. Very true.
There wasn't a person that said your music offends me.
What if there was?
Well, that would be cold, which would be fine.
So, but your friend is probably, or the general manager was probably just doing that so that it increases business. He was focusing on business more.
Well, you'd think so, except that the business principle, when you aim for nobody, you get nobody. But when you aim for a target, you actually get more than the target that you have. That there is a slice that you have to aim for. As opposed to just generally everybody, then you end up not pleasing anyone. Have you heard that idea?
I can relate back to, I worked at a restaurant, and I was the general manager, and they did play Christian music.
Okay.
But they did also, alternate. So an hour here, an hour there, an
Sure.
hour here, an hour there. It was just kind of back and forth, all different recordings and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, a group of individuals came in, which you could identify as definitely not Christian.
Okay.
And the owner ran out to me and said, "You've got to change the music. You've got to change the music."
Really?
Yeah.
The one that put it on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we've got a party of 20 in there, and I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah. There it is.
So,
But there's a pressure to not be... be who you are.
Oh, yeah.
But the other side of it is, just to focus on faith as a faith show, Christian faith show, the folks that are putting pressure against faith have no qualms about offending Christians.
Well, like you said, nobody said anything.
Yeah.
Nobody made a fuss about it.
Yeah, they may have been fine.
It was just the perception.
The perception, right. So there's that pressure in the world not to be hot or cold.
Right.
To just be lukewarm. That's what I'm talking about. Does that make sense?
Totally.
And there's lots of different situations in life. Clothing you wear, conversations you want to have in certain places. And some of that is manners. I understand that. But not all of it. All of it is fear of man.
We can't confuse lukewarm with, I don't know how to say this. We can't confuse honor and lukewarm.
Right.
Like honor out of fear of man, like what you're saying. Like
Mm-hmm.
we can't just say, oh, we won't play that because we want to honor them. That's not honor.
Mm-hmm.
It's fear of man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not looking out for the next person. It's not being who you are, like you're saying.
Right.
Like, and if this is the music that you listen to and you enjoy, and it's not to, you're genuinely putting it on for no other reason than you just enjoy it.
Right.
And it's worship music.
Yeah. So
It's actually
so
gonna-
think of it philosophically. Let's talk about an ethical question and more political. You've got pro-life, pro-choice, right? So let's say if you're in a pro-life camp, the reason why you are is because you believe that life begins before birth, okay? And that there's the choice that you're making that you don't believe it's right to end life before that, right? So that's the pro-life side. And they're convicted by that. Then there's the pro-choice side that says, my body, my choice. We get that. So if you're convinced that we need to not take life, like murder's still on the books as an example, right? You can't murder someone.
Right.
Why? Why can't you murder someone?
Unless you put them in the gas chamber.
Well, we don't call that murder.
Why not?
Because the state, I'm talking about from a government standpoint.
Okay. Sorry.
The reason why our culture doesn't call that murder is because it went through a trial.
Okay.
So that is an issue. I'm going to table that to not confuse us. But yes, that's a valid issue, Brian. So if you're pro-life and you're sure that it's wrong to do that, the lukewarm option would be to not share your conviction.
Right. Just keep it to yourself.
Keep it to yourself. I don't want to offend anybody. Meanwhile, people are getting, by your standards, people are getting murdered. By your standards, I'm saying. So then you're not following your convictions, and you're not trying to help people that are getting murdered.
Mm.
So you're lukewarm, right?
Right.
And there's no more public debate anymore. Everyone just cows down to the political will of the meanest in town, basically.
Yeah, I don't want to get my car damaged, or I don't want to get into a fight with somebody, or I don't want to cause some kind of pressure against me or anybody else, so I'm just going to not say a word.
Duck my head.
Yeah.
Go on. Even though you have this conviction that it's wrong.
Right.
Yeah. So that's lukewarm.
Mm-hmm.
Is that making sense what this
Totally.
lukewarm looks like?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to dive into this a little more. We're going to take a break. And as we take a break, I just want to encourage you. Our intent is not to make you mad today, but you might get mad today. And some of that is a process of waking up. So stay with us. Hey, Brian,
Yes,
where do
Drew?
you go when you want to go have a great cup of coffee?
I go to Maps Coffee.
You go to Maps Coffee?
Yeah,
I
Maps
love
Coffee
Maps
and
Coffee.
chocolate.
It's a really great store. It's in Lenexa, downtown, right off the railroad tracks, Santa Fe Trail Drive in Flum. Maps Coffee.
Maps is the best coffee.
And they do
there.
pour-overs.
They do pour-overs. They don't do batch brews
Yeah.
because they're a roaster. They roast it right there in the shop, and they make chocolate right there from scratch. It's amazing. It's a great. They don't melt. Most chocolatiers, they melt the chocolate. They order what's called couverture, and they melt it, and then they pour it in molds. So basically, they're shapers, chocolate shapers, which is really cool. But what's interesting about Maps is not only are they chocolatiers, but they actually start from the beginning of chocolate and begin to make it right there in the shop. And like I said, they roast their own coffee. They've got a great seasonal drink. Tomorrow you can get it. They're closed on Sundays, but tomorrow you can get that. It's called
Tom and Jerry. It's called Tom and Jerry. It's so good. It's basically an eggnog latte. So if you like eggnog, this is the drink for you this winter season. And we have a bourbon syrup. It's non-alcoholic, I will say that.
Yeah.
But it's very good with like a pumpkin spice kind of like seasoning on top of it. It's very good.
Yeah, and it doesn't leave your stomach sour. They have a medium to dark roast profile. It's the best coffee in Kansas City, I think. I'm a little biased, but I think it's great.
I've tried a lot of coffee around Kansas City. I've been to a lot of shops, and I will say this is some of the best coffee I've ever had.
Right. Mapscoffee.com.
Everyone knows Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa sale.
do one at a
Did you know it's also time to save hundreds, even thousands on patio furniture, pool tables, shuffleboard, and more? You can beef up your entertainment area with couches, sectionals, and theater seating now on sale at Family Leisure. Make it a September to remember with special 810 listener pricing at Family Leisure. Spas, basketball goals, play sets, trampolines, everything for family and fun together on sale at Family Leisure. K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome.
Sunday, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are set to take on the Cowboys. We'll get you warmed up with the Central Bank of the Midwest pregame show beginning at 9 a.m. Then we'll bring you live listen-ins of all the early action, including the Colts and Bills and the Packers and Vikings. We'll have all the latest leading up to the kickoff, and we're back immediately after the game with Kansas City's best postgame show. It's all Sunday on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we're back. The music's dreamy, but the situation's not.
It's so true.
Revelation, letters to the church. This is John writing to the church. And he says that I wish you either hot or cold. So because you're lukewarm and neither hot or cold, I'm going to vomit you out of my mouth. Then he goes on to say, because you say, this is the reply of why they're lukewarm in this church. I am rich and have acquired great wealth, and I need nothing. How about that? I am rich, I've acquired great wealth, and I don't need anything.
Which verse is that?
Verse 17.
Verse 17. Wow.
3:17. And it is infectious to have all of your needs met. It's hard to, there's nothing that's agitating you. It begins to be very comfortable. And I understand, this letter is not written in a tone of accusation, because John, when he knew these churches, he's writing from prison, and he heard that from Jesus. Now think who's talking to this church. The person talking to the church is Jesus, through his prophet John. And Jesus, the whole faith is based on Jesus dying for us, right?
Right.
So the man that dies for us, cares about us, sacrifices his life for us. And the reason why that church even exists in Laodicea is because of him. Did I say Laodicea right? According to your...
Laodicea.
Laodicea? You got to have the comma in the middle of the word, sorry. Laodicea.
I think I'm right. I could be
wrong.
I don't know.
I don't know. Nobody speaks Koine Greek anymore.
Very true.
But if if the person that dies for you, so Brian, if you know someone that died for you, okay, just as a made up thing,
Mm-hmm.
and they came back from the dead to talk to you, would you listen?
Well, I would think so.
Right?
Yeah.
And if they died for you, they'd have a lot of credibility, right?
Yeah.
Now, would that voice of their voice, would you take it as annoyingly picky?
I don't think so.
Let's say your uncle, okay, dies for you in a house fire,
Okay.
and he sacrifices his life, and you live, and you know that, and you've always honored your uncle for doing that. Then one day your uncle appears to you, and he comes to you and says, "Hey, you're lukewarm, dude. I didn't die so that you could live a lukewarm life." That would shake you up, right?
Yes.
But when we read the Bible, we sort of read it separately from that experience.
Yeah.
So one of the worst things we can do for the Bible is if we take a meaning that didn't mean the same thing as its original's hearers. So if the original people that heard this word at the very first, if they didn't understand what it meant, then you've got the wrong understanding of it. To say it a different way, if you look at this as, well, this was an analogy, or it all is meaningless to Laodicea, then you've got it wrong. So, for instance, when they talk about lukewarm, their water system in this city was so fascinating. There was actually a path, an aqueduct system that came from a hot spring, and another path that came from a different that was cold. And when the aqueducts came together to feed the town, it was super high in mineral content, and it was lukewarm. So when John is writing, when Jesus is talking about, they know what lukewarm water, high mineral content tastes like.
Wow.
It's awful. So it had really specific meaning in this city's life when you do all the research. Also, one of the things that they have in this city is they have a medicine for your eyes. And it talks about that here too. Take my advice, buy gold from me refined by fire so you can become rich. And put eye salve right here. Put eye salve to put on your eyes so you can see. In that city, they were famous for that eye stuff.
Huh. I had no idea.
So again, it's very specifically to them. Now, we can take principles from this,
Mm-hmm.
and it should change our life, should affect us, right? Like we've talked a lot of times, right, Brian, about history. We should learn from it.
Yes, we have.
And I think that's super important.
Right.
And this is the Bible. The Bible is thousands of years of history. One of the best books ever to be published, right? Is it the top one?
It is the top one. It is the top most published book.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, it's the most published book, and it's got some stuff to say. And this is meaningful to them, and we can take it as meaning from their experience, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So their experience was that they were super wealthy, and they were really kind of lukewarm. They were passé. They kind of didn't care about it. And I've been there. I'm not trying to be mad at us. I'm just saying that lukewarmness is always a struggle, and it's especially a struggle as you gain wealth.
I don't think I've known a lot of wealthy people.
Yeah.
In my time.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of poor people.
Yeah.
In my time.
Right.
They both have the problems.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody has.
Absolutely.
I've never met a wealthy person that's so wealthy they say, I have no problems at all.
Yeah, I have. No,
Okay.
I have.
I haven't.
Yeah, you're blessed to never know any lukewarm people like that.
I really haven't, because I got to know the people. They seem to have more problems than that guy who lives in a one-bedroom apartment.
So wealth isn't the issue.
No.
It's your reaction to the wealth.
Correct.
The issue is, I'm rich and I have great wealth and I don't need anything.
Right.
That's the struggle.
Right.
And that's where that lukewarmness comes in.
But that person with the wealth still has so many problems, and that person without the wealth is just trying to get the wealth to be that person. But once you get there, you still have the same problems.
Right.
And then you want more.
And then you want
'Cause it
more.
doesn't
Because that'll
satisfy.
fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but you can't. But the problems of life don't go away.
No.
What?
No, they don't.
If you get that hot tub for the backyard with the extra jets in it, your problems don't sink away?
No. For the first couple of days, and then wait till the algae starts, and then wait till the cleaning starts.
It's
and then wait
true.
till
It's so true.
it becomes more of a headache for you, and then you get frustrated, and then you get,
You know
why
what you
did we
should
put
do? You
that
should
in?
hire somebody to come clean it for you.
Well, then they do that, but then that person doesn't do a good job, so
Right.
you're frustrated with that person.
Yeah, you just find your way.
It's
you know.
always something
It's always
leading to
something.
something else.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So a person that could say, I don't have any problems, is lukewarm, is not awake to reality. Because it's not possible that they don't have problems, right?
Everyone has problems.
It doesn't matter. Everyone has problems.
That's the title of today. Everyone has
But
problems.
these people are saying, well, we don't have any problems.
I've never met anybody like that.
Well, what if I would say that they're saying that by their actions? So if the world is going around, let's say your city is burning, right? It's that whole Rome is burning and Caesar was playing a fiddle, right? It's like, I'm not listening, I'm not hearing, I'm not going to get involved in that. That's lukewarmness. Not engaging in those problems, if that makes sense.
Okay?
So, do they know there is a problem,
They might,
but they're not engaging?
but we just proved that everybody has problems, right?
Correct.
Is that right?
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think we all agree.
Would totally agree with
Okay, so for someone to say I don't have any, they must not be awake,
that. Yeah.
right?
I mean, I've heard people tell me, "Oh, I'm doing great. I have no
I got
I'm
no
fine.
issues.
I don't deal with that, or I don't have that, or this person, but I'm good." It's
Right.
like, no, you have no idea to the amount of problems that are actually you are not awake.
You're not
it's
awake.
Real,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's so much pride that the person thinks they don't have problems that it's hard to even. How do you even
Right.
connect in a heart level? Because we connect over our weaknesses.
Right.
And that's how a person bonds with one
Mm-hmm.
another. So, anyways, that's another route. But I just think, yeah, they're asleep.
Are you tracking, Brian? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're not aware, in other words, you're not willing to see your problems, it means because you don't want to. It's an intentional willingness to be lukewarm. Like those two aqueducts planned to come together to create a lukewarm water. The whole city could have changed the aqueduct system, right? If the water was so bad, couldn't you just fix it? Does that make sense?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Couldn't you fix
Well,
a...
if they built it, I'm sure they could fix it.
Right? But they didn't. That's lukewarmness.
Either that or they were drunk.
Well, that drunkenness can make one lukewarm, I would think. So now we've defined lukewarmness as a willing thing that we do. We're going to talk about, in this next segment, what are we in our faith lukewarm about?
Ooh,
That's the next
we
question.
are getting into it.
What are we willingly not seeing? If that makes sense.
That does make sense. And what also makes sense is if you ever like Cajun seafood, right?
Yeah, I love Cajun seafood.
Because we have to reach out to some of our sponsors. So if you really like Cajun food, you should go to Hook and Reel.
Hook and Reel.
Hook and Reel, right there on 119th and Metcalf. They opened up less than a year ago. Excellent Cajun seafood. They have the mixed bowls, that you would imagine. You could get the crab, you can get the corn on the cob.
Like mixed seafood bowls?
Like mixed seafood
Yeah.
bowls.
Oh, yum.
Like you would get, the potatoes, everything in there, all in one bowl. You can get individual or larger bowls. You can get crab legs. You can get shrimp. They have blue crab cakes right now that only on Sundays when the Chiefs
Yum.
play.
Be
So
careful.
today is the day.
Today's
Today's the day. Be
to get
careful,
the
though,
blue.
Because, sorry, I have a pun.
Oh.
I must get out.
All right, go
Okay.
ahead.
You might get hooked because it's real good.
Oh. It's made me choke up.
So good.
It's open today at 11:30 in the morning.
Right, and they have all kinds of different styles of food. So if you don't like it really hot, they can do that. If you like it the more spicy, the more hot, they can do that. So visit Hook and Reel, 119th and Metcalf. They open today at 11. Did you say
11:30 a.m.
11:30 a.m. And just enjoy some Cajun food. It's really good, especially when it's really cold out, but it's not yet.
And they have those holiday mega boils.
And then, Drew, that's what I'm
Whoa.
talking about. The mega bowl.
Double boil, shrimp overload. Man, this 4 snow crab clusters, 2 lobster tails, serves 4 to 6 people.
Yeah, they just bring that big
Yeah.
boil out there.
And then after you have all that Cajun food and all those people over, you're going to need to clean your carpets.
Yeah, you are.
Zero Res is a great place to clean carpet.
It is.
And we'll talk about them more in our next break. But Zero Res, don't forget that name. Zero Res.
ZeroResKC.com.
Hey, we're back.
We're back. It's like we never left.
We never left. We're trying live reads today.
We're doing some live reads because we're reformatting some of our commercials
Yeah.
out there because we continually get sponsors in, and so we're reformatting that. So we're doing some live reads to focus on some of our advertisers and sponsors. And we call them partners.
Partners, yeah.
Partner.
Yeah, and
We focus on small businesses that
Small
are here in
businesses.
Kansas City,
yeah,
local, and they're good people.
all local businesses here in Kansas City, and we're just continually adding more. So we're working on that reformat right now.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being a part of the Love KC Faith Radio family. This is really special to share your time with us and share your life, and we focus on a lot of cool stuff. Last week we had a really cool missionary coming. When I think of not lukewarm,
Yeah.
it was him.
100%. If you guys didn't get to hear that, you should go on Spotify,
Yeah,
Brian,
it's on Spotify.
and
It's on our podcast.
listen back from last week.
Everywhere but Apple.
Yeah, right now. It's taken some time for
We're
us
working
to
on
get
the Apple one.
Apple.
Working on what?
Apple podcast.
Oh, okay.
We're on Google, we're on Spotify, we're on everything else, but we can't
We have to get
solve the Apple
a minor
algorithm.
issue fixed or something.
I
I
don't
keep
know.
hearing Odyssey. What's that?
I don't know.
I have no-
Podcast format.
I think of
site.
Adventures in Odyssey that I listened to as a young child.
I'll look into that.
Yeah, look into Odyssey.
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 Yeah.
So wherever you find podcasts, and his name is Robbie
Robbie Dawkins.
Dawkins,
Yes.
RobbieDawkins.com. And what an on-fire guy. For the last 20 years, he's been going to Iran. Think about this, Brian. Somebody
I thought he
comes
was
to you
in
and
Afghanistan.
he's been going to Iran and Afghanistan, and he said, I'm trying to figure out how to get into North Korea.
Yeah, I remember he said that, and I was
Now,
like,
I don't know
whoa.
if that would be a good idea.
I don't think any of this is
No,
a good
none
idea.
of it's a good idea.
No, I mean you
But-
North Korea, he'd pretty much stand out.
Well, I think he stands out. He's like a 300-pound white guy. He's huge.
Okay.
Well, I think he stands out anywhere. In Iran, Afghanistan, anywhere. He stands out. In his new book that he wrote, he said that he was in the villages of Africa, and they bring out a chair for him. And he's like, oh, I couldn't sit in there. I'd just smash it to pieces.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
Yeah, they're not used to his kind of weight. But, he's just a big boy and a big man, and he stands out.
He does.
Definitely.
And
He's
it
been
was-
arrested several times.
Yeah, his stories are crazy. I mean, it was nice having him on. I mean, it was a gift to have him because it just strengthened my faith, and I imagine the faith of those who were able to tune in and listen with us. And
Yeah.
if you guys seriously go and listen to it, I think my mom was listening last Sunday. Shout out to you, Mom. I know she was taking notes and loved it, but I think, it is not a good idea, but that's the gospel. It's just not going to always be
That
a
would be in
great
the
idea.
hot category.
It would be hot. Yeah.
Not cold, but definitely hot.
No, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be scary at
Mm-hmm.
times, but I love what he's doing to bring the gospel to Afghanistan and the Middle East, and
Yeah.
it's powerful.
Yeah, and so he's definitely hot.
Yeah.
So what's the problem that he's solving? Because remember, the situation of Laodicea.
I still think it's Laodicea.
Laodicea.
We got a text here explaining the Laodicea.
Mm.
Sounds like. Do you see that text?
No.
Someone, Mario.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mario.
Yeah, way to go.
Doing sound
Laodicea.
pronunciation from Google.
According to Google. Laodicea.
Google is completely
Laodicea.
Laodicea.
Okay, Laodicea. All right, so Laodicea, what's the problem that Robbie is solving? Because remember, or the need, I should say, because the Laodiceans said they don't have any problems, right? They don't have anything to worry about.
Right.
I'm rich and I need nothing. So what is Robbie doing that's helping the world at large? What's he solving? Thoughts? Why would Robbie fly all over the nation to do what he's doing? What do you think, Brian?
Honestly, he's probably doing that because he's on a mission
Yeah, for
God,
yeah,
and it's his opinion and others like him that there are people in need around the world but are too scared to confront that. So he helps with that understanding and provides them with more understanding and empathy, and their interest increases, and so does their enthusiasm, so that those people cannot be lukewarm, but be on the hot side, if you say.
yeah, nice.
Yeah.
You had that whole conversation without using the word faith or conversion or evangelism or Jesus, or that was amazing. You're right, though. I agree with you.
I said God.
No, I know. I'm not. I was just impressed.
Okay.
No, yeah.
That was really good.
That was good. No religious language.
Yeah, none of.
I would have dropped at least 5 religious words there, but I think I'm totally right on. Like, yes, because if there's nobody around helping with people that need stuff, you got to go get them, go help them.
Well, and he believes that there are people out there that believe that way, but are too fearful to react in a way.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Yeah, and so don't you want to be like that? Like, think about, we talked about school boards, right?
We did.
If you're frustrated with school boards, get on one, right? Quit yelling at the television.
do something.
Yeah, go do something. I'll never forget, we had this huge school controversy in a school that we were a part of, and I was talking to one of the dads, and they were just so frustrated with what's happening at the school. And so I said, well, how much time have you devoted to the school personally? It's like, well, none. I go, okay, so the only thing that you've done is come to the board meeting 2 times, and we're really mad. That's basically your contribution to the school. And he got my point. It's like, there's some of us in our nation that don't believe in organizations, right? We want to just be on our own, independent and all that. But the people that do believe in organizations, we may not agree with them. So our answer is to just be mad and want to destroy them, as opposed to getting involved in them, right? So if you're mad at schools, yeah, you can come to the board meeting and be mad, or you can start to help. What would it be like if you volunteered? I think they still let you volunteer in classes, don't they?
I don't think so anymore. You know,
Are you serious?
yeah, I was talking to, now, I don't know this about all,
Okay.
you know, schools or anything.
Right.
But I was talking to a woman who I was counseling,
Yeah.
and she said that she went up to pick up her, not pick up, but her grandson,
Okay.
and she went into the school, and they had a, you know, meet the teachers
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
you know how to meet the
Right.
parents kind
Mhm.
of night.
Right.
And she said, I would like to see the classroom. And they said, absolutely not. Nobody is allowed in the classrooms.
What?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
I don't know. But, you know, not to be able to see. Why not? She said. Why? I don't understand. You're not allowed to see what we teach.
What?
Yeah.
On Earth?
Is this a real story?
This is a real story.
From a real school?
Yes.
Here in Kansas City.
Yes. You're
That's
not allowed
still
to see this
functioning.
classroom because,
That's shocking.
isn't it?
Yes.
And no parents could go outside of this library.
Okay, so lukewarm is not fighting to fix that.
Right.
That's lukewarm.
They were
Yeah.
frustrated.
Oh, yeah, but that isn't enough.
I want to see what you're teaching.
We can't just stop
No.
at frustration. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we must take action on stuff like that.
We've got to move
That's-
forward beyond frustration. Don't you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean that was I couldn't believe it myself.
Were you shocked?
Yeah, I was.
Did you make her repeat it like we're making you repeat it?
Well, you know, they try to say it's for safety.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
for safety reasons.
Yeah.
I think for safety reasons, I would need to get inside of that classroom.
Yeah.
It
But-
feels very unsafe not
That
to be
feels-
allowed in the classroom.
That
But you
feels
can't
unsafe
even walk
to me.
into a school anymore.
Is that I've not tried.
Well, I haven't tried either.
I
But
might try this week and just
No,
see.
don't do it. They actually do lock the doors. You're not
Okay.
allowed into a school without your, you know, security passes and all of that. And they're doing that for safety reasons,
I understand
right?
that. I understand
For
that
sure,
part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and you know,
I'm okay with going through security checks.
Yeah, I mean they do have to keep the kids safe.
I'm not against defending our children. I think that's great.
I do too. But when it comes to teaching our children,
There needs to be some,
there has to be parental involvement.
definitely.
Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, there's an example of something right now
Perfect example.
we need to stop right now. That's insane.
We need to.
When we were in
yeah.
school, do you remember back in the day when we had the parent-teacher conference?
Oh,
and they'd
yeah.
all meet sitting at the desks
Oh,
in
yeah.
the classroom.
That's the only way I've done it.
Yeah,
I've not done it without doing that.
yeah.
So, I mean, there's something we got to change. That's craziness.
Yeah, but there's a lot of different examples outside of the school that stuff like that is going on. I mean, there's different things going on all over that are the same similarity.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want you to see what we're doing. We just want you to follow what we do. What?
Yeah, there's no
Sorry, I don't.
accountability. Well, like recently in the court case, they don't want to show what's in the vaccine for 55 years.
Yes.
They're
that's-
not willing to
that's correct.
show us that information.
Yes, I don't want to show you what's in there. Just take it and you'll feel better.
Yeah.
That's like
Was
you
it
need to pass
Pelosi?
this bill.
Yeah, Pelosi.
You need to pass this bill
To find out what's in it.
to find out what's in it.
Yeah.
Then you can read it.
Yeah. And she said that. Did you know that? And that's not young. That was a while ago. She
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
That was maybe a decade ago.
I think that was for the healthcare thing.
Yeah, that's been a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, for the healthcare bill. It was like
Gotcha.
2,000 pages.
Oh wow, that's concerning.
You need to pass this to find out what's in it. Excuse me?
A lack of daylight on stuff.
Right? You know, that it really hits your common sense where you go, I'm not following you.
Right.
So
Right. Huh. Well, that stuff's got to get changed, and it's not going to get changed by being frustrated at it.
Really?
To stop there.
Yeah.
I'm
true.
frustrated. I'm just going to be mad and kick my dog.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't kick your dog. But that doesn't help anything. We got to really be involved. Like how do we fix the school board thing, right, Brian? Get involved.
And there's a lot of different situations. We'll go over those when we get back.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're going to take some break. We're going to talk about a little bit of our sponsors, and then we'll be back. Emma?
Yes, Brian.
If you want low-carb or keto meals that don't have any carbs in them and a lot of gluten-free, but you can't find any place to go to get it, some of the places carry the low-carb bread and some low-carb items in specialty stores.
Uh-huh.
But they're full of all these different chemicals.
Right.
My struggle's been barbecue sauce.
Barbecue sauce.
Because it's such high in all that.
In
all the
sugar
stuff you can't
and
eat.
all of that.
True.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, about a year ago, maybe a little over, Three Bears Bakery opened up on 87th, and now they were doing business before that, but they opened up their own bakery at 87th and Flum, and it's Three Bears Bakery BBQ.com. They make the barbecue sauce like you were talking about.
Yeah.
They're making some great things for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday. They make stuffing. Now, you would think, how do you get...
That seems like a high-carb item.
Because it's all bread, right?
Right.
So how do you get...
I don't know. They figured it out.
zero to low-carb stuffing?
Well, this Thanksgiving, if I'm in low-carb, I think I'd want to go get that stuffing.
That's right.
They're selling that now. They're selling rolls right now. They're selling all kinds of pies and everything.
Go see them.
Three Bears Bakery, BBQ.com.
Building a pool is not a job for amateurs. If you want a pool you'll enjoy for a lifetime, call the pros at ProBuilt Pool and Patio. ProBuilt Pool and Patio is the largest provider of fiberglass pools in the region. Unlike liners, fiberglass pools from Imagine Pools and Pentair Pool Equipment are built to last, and they have over 200 different design options to fit your space. ProBuilt Pool and Patio offers competitive pricing, financing, and the fastest install timelines. Get a free quote by calling 816-786-3893 or go to ProBuiltPatio.com.
Sunday, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are set to take on the Cowboys. We'll get you warmed up with the Central Bank of the Midwest pregame show beginning at 9 a.m. Then we'll bring you live listen-ins of all the early action, including the Colts and Bills and the Packers and Vikings. We'll have all the latest leading up to the kickoff, and we're back immediately after the game with Kansas City's best postgame show. It's all Sunday on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Okay, so we're going to take a turn here in the Love KC Faith Radio because John takes a turn from hearing the accusation, right? The rebuke, I would say, which
Right.
there's something we don't do a lot in churches.
Rebuke?
Rebuke.
Yeah.
We're supposed to rebuke one another. That's in the one another's. But moving on, that's a different show. So after he's done rebuking, he doesn't just leave you there. He gives you a path to fixing. And it says, very simply, all those I love, I rebuke and discipline. Verse 19. So when you feel rebuked, know that you're being loved.
Yeah, that's not a thing that is happening right now a lot in the church.
Emma,
Yes.
we need a definition.
A definition.
A definition of
Rebuke.
rebuke, correcting somebody.
Okay. Correcting somebody.
Should we see what Google says?
Drew, do you agree with that? Correcting somebody?
Expressing, I think it's a little stronger than correction, but
Okay.
expressing sharp disapproval or criticism of someone because of their behavior or actions.
Okay.
That's a good definition.
Sharp.
It is fierce.
Ow. Ow, ow, ow.
Okay. All right. So after he's done rebuking,
Yeah. So be earnest, he says, and repent, which means turn around and be earnest in it. Really work at changing. Listen. That's a whole verse, verse 20. Listen. I am standing at the door and knocking. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into his home and share a meal with him, and he with me. So Jesus' offer is forget your old way and just come and be with me. And it's through his presence and love where we begin to change. He says, I will grant the one who conquers permission to sit with me on my throne, just as I too conquered and sat down with my Father on his throne. The one who has an ear had better hear what the Spirit says to the churches. So the answer, which is so fascinating to all the lukewarmness, is what? That Jesus is proposing. How do you read it? What did he say? I read it that he just said, be with him.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Brian? Spend more time with him, and it will change you.
Come and dine with him.
Yeah.
Answer his voice as he's knocking. And
Okay.
What do you think? You think that's an answer?
No.
I
I'm a
know,
little
right?
Confused.
It's counterintuitive, right?
Yes.
Yes. Because as we hang out, and I think here's the mystery, as we hang out with him, we will just begin to change. We can't possibly be lukewarm.
Well, you can't remain the same if you're being lovingly corrected.
Right.
Sharply rebuked.
And you're hanging out with the one that
changed.
just rebuked you.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
You're
but
not.
then again, don't both sides, whatever, isn't the other person then going to rebuke you?
I don't.
Their beliefs are totally opposite of your beliefs.
Yeah, there's always a fight. Sure.
So if you sharply criticize or whatever somebody, they're going to do that right back to you.
Yeah, and the goal is fellowship.
And how do you achieve that?
So
Love,
as
right?
a kid, did you ever get in fights as a young man?
All the time.
And then were you ever friends with those people you fought with?
All the time.
There. So the fighting and the rebuking and the correcting is part of being hot and cold and living in a society that functions. It's the fact that we aren't doing that is the problem. We're not actually correcting each other enough. We're trying to not offend. We're trying not, and in other words, we're really lacking in love.
Yeah, because the one whom I love, I reprove and discipline. So be zealous and repent. It's pretty clear.
Yeah, so if you don't care about the schools, you will not go and fight and correct them, right?
Right.
It would be love that motivates you. That grandmother, she's going to get involved not because she has some over life goal to get involved in school boards, but because of her grandchild, she might get involved and go after it because of her love. Her love is motivating her.
Right.
And so that's what's getting her to change. And that, one example is in society, when I used to go out with my grandparents, okay, to go eat or whatever, our whole society was so different. So let's say we're all eating at a table and everyone's around. This kind of scenario happened quite frequently. And let's say there's a young, it doesn't matter, man or boy, but in this case, a young boy, and excuse me, and he's sweeping an area. If he's sweeping it weirdly and incorrectly, the customers would actually point that out and correct the boy working. Do you remember that, Brian? In our culture? Do you remember 50 years ago? 40 years ago?
Thanks a lot.
No,
He's dating me again.
No, I was around when I was a little guy. I remember the people would correct everyone around them. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Hey, young man, that's not how you sweep a floor. Let me show you. You remember that?
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
Nobody does that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't around, but I watched shows and they correct I know what you're talking about.
So a lot of them right now are doing that because they're fearful.
Right.
They're fearful of
Offense.
They don't want to offend.
prosecution,
Right.
to be offending somebody, to have somebody do something to their food because they don't want to speak out.
Uh-huh.
Things like that. So,
Yeah, there's a risk in love.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Huge risks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's risky right now to love people. It really is.
It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
People are on edge.
Mm-hmm.
They're easily agitated, easily offended.
Right.
Sometimes
And-
it's just easier to go with the flow.
Lukewarm.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about. It is easier. Of course it's easier.
So
Yeah.
much easier.
It's called lukewarm.
Yeah.
Go with the flow. There's the word right there,
Yeah.
Brian. Go with the flow.
You nailed it.
And that is the challenge. And so Jesus gives us the way to get that strength to be able to do it. And he's saying what? Hang out with me.
Yeah.
Be with me. Dine with me. You will begin to have what he had and know when to share and when to keep your mouth shut. Because there's a time to be cold. See? I'd rather you be hot or cold. So I think sharing is hot. That's kind of hot love. Rebuking someone, that's pretty hot, right? And cold is go away.
Right.
There's a time to fight, and there's a time to just back off and go a different path. And wisdom will tell us that. But that lukewarm is, I know I should speak up, but I don't.
Yeah.
Or I know I should be silent, but I can't.
Oh, that's good.
And that's lukewarm.
Yeah.
And the only way we're going to know is if we have the wisdom, which is awesome. So we want you and all of us to have that wisdom.
Drew,
Yes,
do you ever get your carpets cleaned?
I have before. It's amazing.
Do you rent the machine? Remember the old rug doctors?
Stream football game.
Do you rent that machine?
Yes, I have before as well. It's kind of a pain.
Well, the bad thing about some of those machines that you rent,
They're
you-
dirty.
You pour the chemical in there,
Yeah.
and everything. That chemical stays on your carpet. So so the chemical doesn't just wash away.
That's true.
It's always on your carpet, and the more you clean it with chemicals, the buildup of chemicals
Ooh.
are in the carpet.
It becomes part of the problem.
Well, it does.
Yeah.
It does. Your carpets might look clean, but then again, you've got this, this
Ooh.
film on it.
Gross. Is there a solution to that?
There is. At ZeroResKC.com, you can get your carpets clean, and they use a revolutionary kind of cleaning system. It's all water, but it doesn't have all of the harsh chemicals in it.
How do they do that?
Okay, you're going to have to go to their website to see exactly how they do it. But it's
ZeroRes.com or ZeroResKC?
ZeroResKC.com. But they have a patented, across the country, a patented kind of water that they use, so it leaves zero res.
That makes sense.
That's amazing.
With a Z. Res with a Z.
Spelled the same
Zero
backwards.
res.
Spelled the same backwards as forwards.
ZeroResKC.com.
ZeroResKC.com. They also do duct cleaning. If you need to get your ducts
Man,
cleaned
in
before.
this flu season here, we're heading up to, the winter. This
them-
is the time to
This
get those
is
ducts
the
clean.
time for that.
Get all those allergens out of there. Get everything out of there. So go to ZeroResKC.com and get some information for yourselves. It's an excellent service. I've had it done myself.
Hey, we're back.
We are back.
We've faced the hot, but actually lukewarm. You should rebuke, but you don't, so you're lukewarm. And we've talked about you should keep your mouth shut,
That's a hard one.
but you can't resist yourself,
Yeah.
which is also a problem. Because there's definitely times we've talked about hot. My go-to is the gas pedal, not the brake so much, but I think the brake's a valid part of the car, right?
If you didn't have the brakes, you would die.
Yeah, you got to have both pedals.
That's so true.
But
Wow.
there's no middle pedal between go and stop.
If there was, it would be called the lukewarm.
The lukewarm pedal.
I'm just going to press this one. It's easier.
That's the clutch.
The clutch, which doesn't do a whole lot. It
But
helps you shift gears.
Have you ever driven with your emergency brake on? I do that I used to do that all the time. It's so bad for your car. Have you done
Oh,
that?
of course it is.
It's
No, I haven't
terrible.
done that.
Not
Okay.
once?
No.
Oh, come on.
Brian.
Driven with my emergency brake
Yeah.
on? No, I don't think my car would move.
Oh, you can get it to move.
My car, I would do that a number of times in my old car, and it's just like it's hindering you from driving forward, but it's not fully stopping you. And I think that's the lukewarm.
Yeah.
That's the lukewarm pedal.
Lukewarm. Doesn't go good.
It-
Hurts your car.
It literally destroys your car.
Makes it smoke.
And then you forget that it's on,
Okay.
in my case.
No, I haven't.
Hashtag e-brake probs.
Yeah.
Drew, in the next hour, are we going to be talking about the same thing?
We are.
And so the show today is on lukewarm.
The show is on lukewarm and lukewarm faith. And what we're trying to do is inspire Kansas City folks. And really, we're listened to all the way around the world. Did you know that, Brian?
I did know that.
People in Australia are listening to our show.
And did you know that we are the most popular show on this station at this time? What? We are. I'm not lying.
Great news.
Yeah.
We're the only one on this
You
station.
don't have to say that, Drew. Come on.
You know, Brian, of all the people I know, you're one of them.
Oh, wow. That is so encouraging.
Oh, it's awesome.
I hope we don't get too prideful now.
Yeah, the pride is
Don't
coming.
let it all go to our heads.
Oh, my goodness. That is incredible. So we're going to be talking about lukewarmness and how it applies. And there's today, the second segment really is let's get into the weeds of areas that we need to stop putting up with, right, in our life and as a nation. Because we're in a really difficult time as a nation. I mean, when I look at my neighbors and my friends and all that stuff, it's terribly disturbing, I think. When I look at the last, 20 years. And every year I think, oh, it can't get any worse.
Right.
And then it gets a little worse.
And then it does.
And so I'm like, how are we putting up with this? How do we put up with this? Why do we keep it going on? And I think the answer is this, that we're lukewarm. We really are. Because it takes risk and love to not be lukewarm. Like you said, Brian, it's a lot of risk to help a young man learn how to sweep a floor in a lobby, right?
Nowadays.
Yeah. It's a risky move.
And it takes initiative, it takes energy, it takes effort and intentionality, and we don't want to do that.
Right.
We just want a button to push.
I remember a long time ago when somebody, either on an airplane or just in a restaurant or something, began to choke or began to...
Oh, yeah.
And they would say, is there a doctor in the house?
Right.
And a doctor would get up, if there was one, and would run over and treat them and fix them up right there because that was their Hippocratic oath, right? To help people.
Exactly.
Nowadays, they don't because they're scared to death of a lawsuit in case something happens to the person that they're treating.
Because they're not covered under the hospital coverage or anything like that. Yeah.
Right, so they won't do it.
Whoa.
So they just rather ignore that person.
And their oath.
And just let something happen rather than risk something happening to them.
Mm.
But, is that the world we live in?
It is.
Yeah.
But I don't want to live in that world. Do you?
But we do live in that world.
No, I know, but I don't want to stay here.
Okay, but those trips to Mars aren't going on right now.
No. I mean, I want to fight to change. That's why we're doing this show.
Yes.
We want to encourage faith and help people to go someplace else.
But when you say wisdom involves listening, right? When you say that.
Yeah.
How do you listen to those people that you don't agree with? I'll give you a situation here. What if I said, Drew,
this is good.
You've got to get the vaccine.
Okay.
I need you to get the vaccine. And the reason is because you're going to save people's lives.
Right.
So you need to get that vaccine.
And they say it a lot of times.
And your response would
And
be...
they run commercials.
And they run commercials.
And then they tell you can't travel unless you do.
Right. You can't travel. We're going to have to let you go from your job.
Yep.
If you don't get that vaccine, we're going to have to let you go.
Yep.
You can't travel anywhere. You can no longer go to concerts or football games. You can't go anywhere unless you have that vaccine passport. So you're going to have to get it.
Right.
And your response would be, I don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put something in my body that I don't know. And the other side would then say, you have to trust what we're doing. We have over 1 billion people that have taken this, and only a very few have died. And then you would say, well, that doesn't make sense. There's still a risk of death. There's a risk.
It's a small risk.
It outweighs the risk of getting the virus.
Yes.
So this goes back and forth.
Right.
So
But we have to have the power of our own choices.
Of course.
We have to.
Of course.
That's a Nuremberg thing.
Which is why I'm surprised, not taking any sides, but I'm surprised, because I'm lukewarm, I'm surprised that the you were talking about the right to the pro-life
Yes.
versus pro-choice.
Yes.
I'm very surprised those pro-choice people don't stand up and go, wait a second, my body,
My choice.
my choice.
I know, isn't that weird?
It's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, it was very ironic. My body, my choice.
Right.
I choose what goes in
How
my
about
and
the
what happens
How
to
about
my
the
body.
ACLU?
What?
Is that right?
I didn't hear about that.
Well, no, I mean, they're not exactly. They're not standing up for the rights, civil liberties.
Yeah.
That's out the window.
But OSHA did.
What?
OSHA did.
What did they do?
They came out and said, hey, we're not going to back this.
Huh.
You know, they're the ones, OSHA is involved with, well, they're not going to back it.
Nice.
So, it's a person's choice.
It is.
And I guess the part that I don't understand, this is a tangent we're going off on, but I don't understand if it's my choice and if you get the vaccine,
Right.
you can still transmit the disease to me,
Yes.
even if I have a vaccine.
Right.
So it doesn't stop transmission.
That's what they say.
Again, we're talking about
We're
things that don't make sense
Yes.
on this show today.
Oh my goodness.
Because it doesn't make sense. It's like 1984.
It really doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's somebody that's not lukewarm that's giving all those messages.
Oh yeah, they actually have a plan.
Yes,
They're
do.
just not letting us in on what the plan is.
That's right. You have to read this before you find out what's in
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it. I mean, you have to pass this before you can read it.
Yeah. Well, it's going to get to a point where either we all submit to the authoriton, which is Cartman from South Park, submit to my authoriton, or we're going to have to say no. We're going to have to give him a sharp rebuke.
And how do you think we're doing?
Terrible. We are not sharply rebuking our government.
No, not at all.
And it's not only the government. There's a lot going on.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot.
There's a lot
that's happening.
Yes.
And if what you're saying is if you have a stand, don't just float in the middle.
Yeah.
Take a side.
Take a side. Pick a side. You're doing nothing in the middle.
You don't care which side. Per se.
Yeah.
But
hot or cold, pick.
You're better off to pick a side.
And honestly, society is better off picking a side. Then it's clear.
True.
Pick a side, dude. If you're pro-vaccine, great. Go sit over there. Right?
Right.
Yeah, go
and
for
if
it.
you're
Go
not,
wild.
Stand firm.
And defend your point.
Right.
If you're pro-vaccine, great. Show it to me. Explain to me how the mechanism works.
And you'll listen.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I like science. And actually, I've been vaccinated by a number of things.
Right.
I totally believe in vaccines. But this one is really weird.
It's a little scary.
It's terrifying.
There's even a billboard I'm driving down the road. Don't let your last words be, I wish I had the vaccine.
Oh, my goodness.
I literally
Manipulation.
saw that.
You did not.
No, I promise you. It literally had
Here
like
in Kansas City?
on a billboard, a sick person on
Don't
their
let
bed.
the last words be. I wish I got a vaccine.
If those were my last words, I would slap myself.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow.
It's just
That's
no.
That's going on.
It's too far.
That's to the extreme.
I don't understand. I personally don't understand. If those were my last, like,
Who sponsors a billboard like
I
that?
don't know. But if, yeah,
don't know.
it just really caused me to think about what will my last words be, you know?
Oh.
I hope it's not COVID or vaccine.
If you're a president, they might be.
Wow, that's kind of scary right there.
Yeah, I mean, things are, it's crazy.
yeah.
I don't understand a lot of these things.
And no one's explaining anything. They're just
get
saying,
the
shut up and
So
take the jab.
So if you're lukewarm,
Jab.
Yeah.
if you're a lukewarm Christian,
Okay,
then you're afraid of speaking the truth.
that's right.
Okay.
And here's the deal, what Jesus says about the truth, if you know the truth will set you free, and you shall be free indeed. So if we believe that, then we need to speak the truth in love. It says, speak the truth in love. And loving people rebuke and correct others. That's what love does. Now, they may not understand that, but that's not, you can't win that battle. They had a poor educator. They don't understand that rebuke is love.
Right.
Because when you don't, okay, like in a marriage, all marriage counselors will tell you the sign that a marriage is ending is not arguing. The sign that a marriage ending is actually contempt. Like, I don't care anymore.
Huh.
Yeah, whatever. That's
Yeah.
when you know you're on a path to ending a marriage.
Wow.
Because love is left, because you just stopped caring anymore. And that's what I think about this country is love has grown cold for our nation. Because why is evidence of that? No one's rebuking anyone anymore. We don't care about culture anymore because we're not correcting one another in love.
That's a good point. It's true.
We're fine to let it burn down. I think half of the Christians want the nation to burn down. They're ready to let it torch. Go for it. Yeah, let those crazy people run it in Washington. I don't care. I'm going to get on the white horse with Jesus, and he's going to burn it all, and I'm going to heaven. It's horrible. Mm-hmm. It's a lack of love for our neighbor. Because if we have wisdom, let's say you have the cure for cancer, guys. Brian, do you have the cure for cancer?
No.
But let's say you did.
Okay.
So you have the cure for cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be loving to keep that to yourself?
No.
What if everybody was against you? You were the only one. It is a true, valid cure of cancer. You're not a nut. You have the cure for cancer. Okay? But the hospitals were against you. The doctors were against you. The chemotherapy people were against you. All these people were against you, but you have the cure for cancer. What's the loving thing for you to do?
Release it.
Right. Even amidst all that terribleness.
Right.
And they may kill you, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it's loving to do so. So if, as Christians, if we have the truth that's in us, Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. If he's the truth is a person, for us not to share that is totally unloving.
It is.
It's unkind not to correct your neighbor. Hey, don't go out in the street. You're going to get run over. That's a rebuke. You can give them a sharp rebuke. Don't go out in the street. Or just, he probably shouldn't go out in the street.
Come
No,
on.
yeah.
Let him learn his lesson.
Let him learn his lesson. That's unloving, right?
It is.
Kids.
The stupid kid. Right? That is very unloving. But the loving thing is to stop him and yell at him and pull him back.
Right.
But he may be embarrassed, or she, or whatever. The kid may be embarrassed and not like you after that. But you did a loving act. You may not be welcome at parties, but you will be more loving than your neighbor who wants to be lukewarm.
It's true. And I'm thinking of do not withhold good from those to whom good is due. It's good to speak the truth.
Yeah.
Like, don't withhold from saying what you need to say
Mm-hmm.
if it's the situation and you're supposed to say something and confront something lovingly. Don't withhold the truth, because that has the power to set someone free. They might be angry, frustrated, or offended, but then that's not your fault. Like, you spoke the truth. They can go and deal with it. And they might come back to you and thank you, but they also might not. And that's not the reason you're doing it, to have them thank you. You're doing it for a different reason.
Right.
Because of love. You're compelled by love.
Right.
Hey, Drew, when we get back, we want to continue this conversation.
Yeah, we do.
But we are going to take a quick break. And, Emma, I would like you to explain a little bit about where you work at Maps Coffee.
Right now?
Right now.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So I work at Maps Coffee and Chocolate as a barista in the morning. And I have to say, some of the best coffee you can find in Kansas City.
What makes them different?
You know, they roast their own coffee in shop, and they make their own chocolate in shop from scratch.
So what's the difference in me just going into a Starbucks or a major coffee store and getting a cup of coffee, or going into Maps and getting a cup of coffee?
Well, Maps, so we make our own pour-overs, so we make them fresh on the spot.
What does that mean?
So what that means is we take the grounds and we grind them up, put them on a cone-shaped filter, measure it all out, and then we pour the water over the grounds, and it literally just drips, and you can taste all of the nodes or the flavors of the type of roast of coffee that you would choose. So we have like a list of different selections you can choose from.
So no drip coffee makers?
No.
No drip coffee makers?
Mm-mm.
We do it fresh.
You grind the beans right there?
Correct.
And they were roasted usually within a few days.
Right, and they're very, very fresh.
Drew, where are they located? Maps Coffee and Chocolate?
Santa Fe Trail.
Mm-hmm.
Drive.
And Flum. Old Town Lenexa. Come see us. We're not open on Sundays, but we are open Monday through Saturday.
That's right.
Makes a great gift also.
Absolutely. We have
the chocolates and make a great
We
gift.
have holiday gift boxes ready to go. All you got to do is wrap them.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Bundles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A KC tradition since 1957 and voted the best steak in Kansas City, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. Go to HerefordHouse.com for hours, new menu items, and to make your reservations. Follow Hereford House on Facebook and Instagram for exclusive specials. Hereford House, voted Kansas City's favorite steakhouse.
Hey, we're back. Emma, I'd like to pick up with what you just said about being, what was it, good to people? Don't withhold good?
Yeah, don't withhold good from your neighbor to whom it's due.
Talk about that. How does that work? How does that play day to day?
I mean, throughout the day we have constant moments where we're able to either serve someone, in action, pick something up off the floor, someone drops something. It can be as simple as that.
Yeah.
Or either speaking a kind word to someone who it has the ability to change the course of their day, or just smiling at someone. I mean, it can be very simple and practical.
And that takes effort.
All of it takes effort.
You have to be awake.
You have to be awake.
Yeah.
I work at Maps Coffee, and we were just talking about that a minute ago on our live read.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because, sometimes I show up tired.
Yeah.
And I can give in to
course.
my flesh.
Right.
And not really serve the person in front of me. I have a choice to make. I can serve them outdoing myself, like in a good way, like actually help them and be awake and alert, or I can just do the very bare minimum, which is, what do you want? Okay, I'll get you a drink. Have a good day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it like that, but
but internally.
But I can turn on a switch and just be like a robot, or I can be a person who's living from the heart and take the extra mile of, all right,
dying to yourself.
I'm not going to withhold joy and love for the sake of turning on a switch and being a robotic whatever that they can get anywhere else.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be who I am.
Yeah.
In Christ and love this person. And when I do that, the people that I talk to and meet, it's always so powerful.
Mhm.
Like, I'm sharing stories and they're sharing stories, and it's less, and then it's not a job anymore. It's a person standing in front of me
Right.
that has a heart.
Yeah,
And so
there's a
do I.
shift.
And there's a heart connect
Mhm.
while I'm making their drink. And then they're like, when do you work? Oh, I work, come see me. Like,
Yeah.
I'll come back. And that's happened actually with a couple of customers. And after they leave, I'm like, I just forgot I was working.
Yes.
And that's so powerful.
Mhm.
And if I withheld the good in that moment, which
Mhm.
was for that moment, which
Which you're
was-
tempted to do.
yeah,
Because
in
you're one of
my
those human
flesh.
beings.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It turns out I'm a human being.
Yep.
But I don't want to miss those moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's so easy to do that.
Yeah. I love that. Not
Yeah.
withholding the good and taking that step forward. And right now it's really hard, I think, because of the phones we carry in our pockets.
You don't say.
It's super difficult for a lot of us. Brian, you're the genius because you don't
In many ways.
fake that. You're not struggling with Spotify and all these social
Absolutely
media.
not. Never had one social media account in my life.
And I will say you're of all the people that I know, you are one, and also you're present.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
You're not absent.
You are here with us.
Uh-huh. And I think that's different. Right now there's so many distractions to what we're doing in a day. That's another choice we can make. Put the phone down. Right?
Absolutely.
Be present. We got a big holiday coming up, right?
Couple of them.
Turkey Day coming up, Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And I always think, how am I going to be present on those days?
Turn off that phone.
What should I do so that I can make myself available
Yep.
in my attention and my, whatever? It's so powerful to just sit the phone down and...
Yeah, leave it in a different room.
Yeah.
That's another thing you can do.
Just turn it off.
Yeah.
Just turn it off. People are afraid. What if somebody needs me and they call me in the middle of the night? When I was growing up, we had to go to a payphone to make a phone call.
Oh, for sure.
When we went out on a sales call,
Oh, yeah.
you went out on a sales call. You were out of the office.
You'd be back later.
Yeah, I'll be back later. It wasn't, I have to get hold of that person right now.
I know.
If I don't get hold of him right now, I'm going to have a fit. And then they call you over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
Like you didn't answer on purpose or something.
Yeah.
Just put your phone under the tire and just roll
Roll
forward.
it.
Just,
Oh, just
it's,
put it-
just, it's gotten to a point to where you're just so
accessible.
hooked
Yeah,
You are hooked.
on this item.
You are.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever left the house without it? Without your phone?
Yeah.
And you get panicked?
Yes.
That's been instilled in us.
Yes.
It's not okay.
And on itself, it's okay, whatever. But the problem is it's more important than the person in front of us.
Absolutely.
That's the problem. If we were on an island, this wouldn't be an issue. But we're not. We're in a culture.
And, I think I'm so dependent on this because I use it for directions. And I think to myself, oh, my gosh, if I don't have this, then I have no idea where to go. And that's just one example of dependency on the phone, right? I could really learn directions.
Well, we used to get a thing called a map.
What's that?
It's a map. 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 That was Dora the Explorer.
I'm so
I have
thankful
children.
for Dora.
But, you've got to know how to read
Oh.
to look at a map.
Yeah.
Or have a magnifying glass.
I will say literacy has to be on the up because everything's written these days.
You would think so. I wonder if that's true.
I don't know. But like our phones, if you can't read, you're hosed.
I wonder if that's true.
Because this really isn't a world fit for non-readers now.
Interesting. We should find out if there is a study on
Yeah.
it. Because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. But I would just think like reading has to be on the up because everything is written. Did you see the sign? Did you write? Because no one wants to talk to anybody.
Right.
It's true.
So everything's written down.
It is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But now they don't want to spell the words. They want to send something called an
Emoji?
emoji.
Brian, you
Totes.
sent one of those one time, and I was floored.
It automatically put it up there.
What?
You didn't do it yourself?
No, I was typing in wonderful or great or something,
Yeah.
and then this little finger with a thumbs up thing.
I thought you intentionally selected it, and I was like, oh
No,
my
I
gosh.
didn't even know. It just popped up there, and I go,
That's-
all right, send.
That's hilarious. That's amazing. That made my entire morning. Because I literally thought that was so, it was very impactful.
So we've got to be present.
Right.
That's another way not to be lukewarm.
Pay more attention.
Pay more attention. Don't numb out on the phone.
Wake up.
Wake up. Yeah. It's numbing us out.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It's dulling our spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so the other thing that we can do, too, is what Jesus is saying in this verse about hanging out with him. And that involves setting aside a time to be with Jesus. And if you have a calendar, Brian, do you set your life by a calendar?
No, I use a handwritten calendar.
Right, but you have like a planner or a way that...
I do.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and most of us do. Make an appointment with Jesus. Right? Set aside time. Maybe you don't have that kind of structured life. Then when you wake up in the morning, wake up a little early, spend some time with him then, you know? And that's his encouragement is if he's standing at the door and he's knocking and he wants to come in and share a meal with him. And that's his hope is that it's about when you spend time with me, you will begin to change. We'll be able to hear wisdom. We'll be able to know when to rebuke, when to keep your mouth shut. Because there's certainly a time to keep your mouth shut, right?
And explain this a little bit. Like, what is this meal?
What's the meal?
Yeah. Is it the word? Is it the food that, Jesus speaks of when he tells his disciples, I have food to eat that you don't know about? Is this alluding to like something like that? Or is this the feast of the word of God?
I think people have different experiences, right? Like there's different restaurants.
Right.
There's different kinds of meals, different ways to eat a meal.
Different times to eat certain meals.
I think it's a various interpretation there.
And when you say spend time, do you just mean praying?
No, not necessarily, but it can involve praying.
So give me an example then.
So the most radical example that shocked me this year has been, last year, was a friend of mine challenged that he takes aside part of his time and he gives it to God. So he just sits quietly and he just makes a statement to the Lord, Jesus, this is your time. Do it whatever you want. And he sits there. Now that's I think that's radical.
Let's just go with that one.
Okay.
So you sit there.
You sit there.
How do thoughts not pop into your head?
They
like
do.
Things that are going to go on.
He says they do, but he has to learn how to still his mind.
So it's almost like a meditation moment.
Yes, for sure. And then, things can go places in your mind. He has visions and dreams and experiences that are very unusual. But he's learned to train his mind to do that.
And that's not happened overnight.
No.
Right.
Yeah. I said, well, what happens? He goes, well, usually nothing. He said, but 10 times out of the year, pretty amazing stuff. Most of the stories I share are based on those times. I'm like, oh, and that's where he gets his centering. That's where he gets his power, to live every day, comes from that time with Jesus. But it doesn't have to be that. I'll be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I've lived most of my life. I get my Bible out. I get my favorite coffee. I go sit in a place that's quiet and I read some passages and I write my thoughts and prayers with the Lord on it. That's been known for years. People have done that for generations. My grandma taught me how to do that.
Okay.
Going to church.
Of course, praying.
Praying, yeah. Going to church.
Mm-hmm.
That can be very meditative. Very much enjoying a meal with Jesus. There's lots of religious activities. You love to go to churches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like cool church buildings, ancient buildings.
Yep.
I would put that. Wouldn't you put that in that category?
Yeah.
Fills your spirit. You're reminded of the historical nature of our faith, and it's encouraging.
I like to turn on my audio Bible and listen.
Yeah.
Right now I'm listening through the Proverbs in the morning. And then sometimes I just go off of the verse of the day.
Uh-huh.
Just so simple. On the Bible app, there's a verse of the day. And I'm like, I'll go with it. And then sometimes I'll read the chapter that it's around, but it looks different every day.
Mm-hmm. What do you do, Brian?
You already said. I go to old churches.
That's it, though? You don't do anything else? I'm sure you do more than that.
I just pray.
Pray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most basic.
Yeah.
And probably the one thing that everybody can do.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have access to get to a church or whatever, you can always do that anywhere you are.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a break right now. And as we think about taking a break,
what we're going to think about when we're taking this break right now, but we also want all of our listeners to know that we have other shows on this station.
Yes, we do.
And some of them are very interesting. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the shows the other shows that we have.
Love KC Food.
That's a Wednesday from 4 to 5 o'clock live and on this station. So, and there's a website too.
Yes, lovekcfood.com.
And we talk all about food.
It's really fun. And local restaurants.
Local restaurants that come in.
Local people of the restaurants.
Local people tell about their different menu options, how they got started in the restaurant business.
It's interesting.
How they react to food. We give out recipes, things you can try. History of where this food came from and how Kansas City became great in this or that. It's a real interesting show. It's fun. It's lighthearted. So I encourage you to tune in on Wednesdays from 4 to 5 to the Love KC Food Show.
Yep, lovekcfood.com and wherever you have podcasts. Hey, we're back. We're back. You know, I would say if we don't get centered in our life, we're going to have an issue. If we're not always filling our time with Jesus, if we're not focusing on the one and living a life of listening, that is the challenge. How to live a life of listening, because he's the truth. And if you know the truth will set you free, because there's times we need to be hot and there's times we need to be cold, and we're not going to have all that wisdom all the time. So how do we live this life of a listening life? How do we do that? How do you guys do that? You guys are listeners, right?
It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
I think acknowledging first that it's challenging in the world that we live in, but it's always going to be hard. So you can't just wait for things to just get quieter. You have to make time and space for that. But also, sometimes you won't have time and space for that, depending on the season that you're living in. And so you have to learn how to live from that place of stillness, is what I'm learning on the inside.
Pray without ceasing, Paul said.
Yeah.
That's hard to do. Pray without ceasing. Have you figured that out yet, Brian?
No.
I haven't either.
If you do, let us know.
Let us know.
Because I will
call into the station.
Get calling. If you figured out the secret.
Yeah, but that's the goal, to learn how to pray without ceasing. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
So Brian, how do you live a life of listening? What does listening mean?
I counsel, help walk through some people that get very, very sick, and some of them are terminal, and they know it. And the most important thing is just to listen to them.
Yeah.
You don't have to try to correct them. You don't have to try and say, well, you're going to be fine, or you're going to do. You just listen to what they have to say.
Right.
And it seems to help them. They want somebody to talk to. And you have to learn to just sit back and listen to what they say. You don't always have to react. You don't always have to come back with something.
No, that's the cold button.
Yeah.
Just pull back, just listen, love, encourage, right?
Right.
be
And I
hot
think-
or cold.
And I think that's works in all different aspects of life.
Mm-hmm.
In a marriage, let's say,
Right?
if you just listen, it would work out better, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't listening. They can hear, but they can't listen.
Right.
Yeah.
There's this thing called active listening. How would you describe active listening versus passive listening?
Sorry, what'd you say? No.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's,
All right,
that's it
well,
right
there we go. Never mind. Drew just demonstrated.
Yeah, that would be passive listening. I heard noise, but it didn't register into my conscious intellect like, oh, I heard what you had to say.
Which is the way I
Yeah.
think some people that go to church are passive listeners at church.
For sure. Yeah.
And, would you say that passive listeners have to keep hearing the same thing over and over again, but they're not doing anything about it?
I think you have to
Or-
offend passive listeners.
Huh.
That's where the rebuke comes in.
And then it just snaps them out of it?
Yeah, they usually don't like you for a long while, but it helps them.
And then active listening to someone. I'm thinking in a conversation, being an active listener,
Right.
responding,
Right.
being alert, awake.
Right.
I love to have conversations with people that don't agree with what I think,
Oh,
but they're intelligent enough to have a conversation about it, a discussion, and not an argument.
isn't that nice?
It's really nice, and neither one of us usually get swayed.
Sure.
We're friends.
Are you talking about me now, Brian?
No. But neither of us will change our mind, really.
Yeah.
But we still have a discussion about it without getting mad.
But I would
Right.
say that in those friendships, you'd change more than you think you do.
Maybe.
No, you do.
I do?
No, everyone. I think people change more than they appreciate how much they've changed.
Well, you try to sound as logical as you can, and so do they.
Right.
So maybe over time,
I think so.
but you still remain friends.
Right.
And, nothing, it doesn't affect. It's a healthy discussion
Right.
rather than an argument.
Yes.
Which is a connected series of statements intended to establish a proposition.
Yes.
That becomes an argument
As opposed to a conversation,
as opposed to a discussion.
which is what?
So the difference would be an argument would be,
Here's my point,
Drew, this is my point. If you don't believe it,
and I'm going to defend my point till you submit to my...
that's right.
Okay.
And nothing you're going to say to me, I'm going to listen to. Because you can't change my mind, so I'm not even going to listen to your points. I'm telling you, you have to do it my way to be right.
Yeah. But there is certainly a building of an understanding of what you're coming from. That's not an argument. But to say, like, look, here's where I'm coming from. This point, this, does it make sense where I'm coming from?
Well, that's more of a discussion.
Right. But there is building a case to explain where you're coming from, because it can be pretty complicated.
Yeah, but then there's also those people who don't want to have a discussion, and they just react with, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
No, that's just not right. No,
that's not helpful either.
no,
We've got to talk to each other.
right.
Mm-hmm.
But those people are out there.
But I really like when you have a discussion. Well, here's what I'm saying. Now, what do you have in response to that? Right.
Yeah.
And then they have a response, and then you're like, okay, well, thank you for sharing. You may not agree, but you've listened, and if you want to stay in a relationship, you're going to have to move a little bit.
That's kind of back to the same issue with those vaccines we were talking about. I wish there could be just a discussion that I could listen to.
Right.
From both sides.
Yes. Where's that?
Just a logical discussion from
idea.
people on both sides.
I know.
That's all I want.
And a robust discussion.
Yeah.
Not
I just want
a-
to hear that.
Not a straw puppet discussion.
No, you don't need some doctor out there saying, take it or die. What? What?
Don't let the last words be.
Driving by
I
a
wish
billboard.
I had the vaccine.
Oh, you get all scared and you're...
Take the jab or die.
Oh.
You just want to be able to. Why isn't that going on?
I don't know.
Why don't they just have a discussion? There's so many topics like that. Why can't we just have a sit-down discussion
Right.
that other people can listen to?
Well, now it's all sound bites.
Yeah, right.
And then gotchas. Lots of gotchas.
Yeah.
And that's not helping us.
No.
And our leaders have created that mess. They used to have 2 and 3 hour debates that they would televise.
Oh, they're terrible now, aren't they? If they have one.
They're not. It's not even a debate.
It's not.
It's a shout gotcha fest.
Right.
And that's not. It's not WWE.
I know.
We're talking about the future of our nation. Sit down and talk. It may take a few days. Hey, we're picking up a discussion on entitlements. We've been talking about this for 3.5 hours, and it may take some time.
Yes, exactly. And you know, there's so I worked at another restaurant, right?
Okay.
And they had a men's and a women's room.
Okay.
You know, for the bathroom.
You mean like they've done for thousands of years?
Yeah, you have men's but they got pressured by a group
of
people that came in.
Oh.
And not any specific group, just people that want to make them, what do they call it, unisex.
Okay.
So
no men's, no women's.
You just go in either one, whatever you want. You just go in either one.
So they aren't individual stalls.
These were individual just bathrooms.
Oh.
You know, you had one. These were.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, it's just go where you want. You know, just go. But the problem with that is...
Men are gross.
Yes. That's what yes.
Men have a different way that they use the restroom.
Yes, they do.
And when you go in the women's restroom...
Yes.
Because there are times when the men are busy and I have to go to the women's. And I go in there and I'm like, wow, this is nice.
I'm going to hang out in here.
Yeah, this doesn't smell terrible.
There's not all this all over the ceiling. And
yeah.
You're like,
okay.
You're like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like water and everything. From when they wash their hands, there's just water everywhere.
Oh yeah, they'll take their hands and just do the no towel motion
instead of getting the paper towel.
Sounds like a train wreck.
No,
on the other side.
No, I'm telling you, the men's restroom
Guys, this sounds terrible.
It's a problem.
You should water all over the mirrors.
Oh yeah,
it's terrible.
It's terrible.
I'm sorry, you guys have to go through that.
I know. But yeah, to share. Who wants to share that experience?
I definitely don't. No.
Well, I feel sorry for
the women.
The women,
yes,
who walk in there and they go, "Oh my gosh!" you have to start carrying Windex with you.
I guess so.
I that stuff just doesn't. But there's got to be, if there was a discussion, maybe work something out. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the answer is, but at least there could be a discussion on some of those things.
There's like 1,000 discussions that need to be had.
It's like masks.
Yeah.
Do you have to wear them? Don't you have to wear them?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a mandate to wear them?
What do they do?
What do they do? Do they provide any kind of protection?
And if I bring up this data, why are you mad that I brought it up?
Right.
What's wrong with bringing up my information?
This is just info.
Right. This is the info I got. Why are you mad about it?
A discussion involves listening from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would just have a discussion and listen, you're saying the conflicts could get resolved or worked out easier and faster than just arguing.
And we might, along the way, find a society that would love one another as opposed to have contempt for one another.
Not just tolerate.
Not tolerate, but to really love each other in spite of differences.
Right.
I've been married for 22 years. I love my wife. We get more different every year in a lot of ways. But I love her more because now I understand her more. And that helps me, and I'm inspired by our differences. We're very different people. But I didn't think that when we first got married. I thought we were very similar. But as we grow and I understand more, we're incredibly different people. And I love her for it, right? And that's what I think will happen to society. we can value these differences as opposed to be angry with them.
Well, it'll take time.
And it will take time. But we can start with us, right? All of our listeners, everybody in the Love KC faith community, let's start to listen to one another. Listen to God, listen to one another. Be people of the light, not the darkness. You hide in the shadows. Don't hide in the shadows anymore. Get the bushel basket off of yourself and be in the light.
Yeah.
Are we going to go to a break?
Let's go to a break.
Okay. Well, on this, I would like to talk a little bit about one other show that we have.
Okay.
This is Kansas City.
This is Kansas City.
It's Thursdays from 4 to 5.
Yes.
I don't know if you've ever listened.
Yeah, it's a great show.
I'm just kidding.
I have listened.
I know you have.
And Jim is the host with you.
Yes, Jim is the co-host. We've been doing the show a long time.
Yes.
And it's just
interesting guests you guys have on.
We highlight all kinds of different kinds of histories, businesses with a large or a unique business, and we tell a little bit about Kansas City history on every show, and it's just really fun. For example, did you know Hen House? You've heard of Hen House.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that grocery store.
1923.
Oh, yeah.
It was started.
Did you know we have one of the grandsons of the founder that's been on this show?
Really?
Connor, when he was here.
Okay.
He's part of the Hen House family.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, but some of the things are really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, 4 to 5 Thursdays. This is Kansas City. It's live on 1510 and 94.5 FM.
And you can get your previous shows.
You can get your previous shows. Just go to kcradioshow.com.
kcradioshow.com.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa sale.
Okay,
Did you
the
know
next
it's also
commercial,
time to
or
save
we
hundreds, even thousands on patio furniture, pool tables, shuffleboard, and more? You can beef up your entertainment area with couches, sectionals, and theater seating now on sale at Family Leisure. Make it a September to remember with special 810 listener pricing at Family Leisure. Spas, basketball goals, play sets, trampolines, everything for family and fun together on sale at Family Leisure. K10 in Ridgeview in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome.
Listen up, sporting fans. Central Bank of the Midwest invites you to score a better banking experience with our new sporting checking account. Now you can show off your team spirit at the match or on the go with the official sporting debit card. Plus, you'll gain access to Central Bank's award-winning mobile app with more than 30,000 reviews and a 4.9-star rating. So, score big today by opening your sporting checking account at any of our convenient Central Bank locations or by visiting sportingchecking.com. Member FDIC.
Okay.
Hey, we're back. I want to thank you guys for listening in and being a part of the Love KC Faith family. We just love Kansas City, but I know, again, we've got listeners in Australia, Brian.
Really?
Australia. They're downloading our podcast. Pretty cool.
Amazing.
Pretty cool.
I love Australia.
Down under.
Yeah, 1 million people just marched in Australia for freedom. They're not lukewarm right now.
Nope.
Those million.
Freedom of what?
Oh, they're on total lockdown. Forced vaccinations, lockdown.
Oh, really?
They have camps.
Oh, that's nice.
It's terrible.
Yeah, they've doubled down on this.
Have you been?
No, I have a friend that lives there, and then I've been watching on social media.
Have you been?
I've been.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I loved Australia. I wish I could go for longer.
Did you go to Sydney?
I went to Melbourne.
Okay.
Yeah. It
Second
was
largest.
beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where my friend lived, and then just recently moved because it was just too
Did
crazy.
you go to New Zealand while you were there?
No, I wish I did. I literally went for 1 week.
Okay.
I would not advise going to Australia for just 1 week. The time difference is crazy.
That is a long plane ride.
It's so long.
Yes.
But that's how far we're reaching people, so it's bigger than Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's awesome, and it's an honor to be in your home. Next week, we're going to talk about the Bible. Because, it's a...
Well, do you think you offended anybody today, or you
I
caused
hope so.
No, really, it was laid back. It wasn't anything,
You think it was laid back?
I think,
We could take it up a couple notches?
I think so. I think next week we will.
Next week, we're really going to get into why the Bible is the only religious book you should read. No, just maybe that would be. Would that be an example of an offense?
I could argue that point.
I would definitely believe that point, but yeah.
But we're going to talk about the Bible and its many different versions.
Yes.
We're going to talk about its translations over time.
Exactly. The history, where we came from, why we have what we have today.
That's right.
The political. There's a whole bunch of politics in it.
That came from it. And we're going to talk a little bit about, are there missing books of the Bible, Drew?
Uh-oh.
I don't know. But I think we could talk about it.
Yeah,
are there more books in the Dead Sea Scrolls than are in the Bible?
That's wow. And then where are they? And what happened to them, and why weren't they included?
And what about these Gnostics? Why aren't they included in the Bible?
I don't know.
And what's your favorite translation to read?
Ooh.
Passion,
and
ESV.
Do we lose? My question's going to be to you guys: do we lose meaning from a translation from one language to another? Do we lose meaning in those? Does that word change meaning?
Good question. We should definitely get into. I've already prepared my points.
Okay.
In my head.
Okay.
No, I love it. This is going to be great.
Have you ever had a conversation with somebody who lives in England?
Yes.
Their words mean something when.
Right.
We're both speaking English.
Yeah. How about Irish? That's a whole nother world.
That's a whole nother. Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
And
is that English?
But some of those words have a different meaning.
They do
to them than
Absolutely.
They do to us.
That's correct.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we'll get into a discussion on that.
It's going to be a great show.
Because some Bible translations have unicorns in them, literally.
I did not know that.
The New King James
really
uses the word unicorn. Anyway, I love it.
They should outlaw those hunters.
Yeah, there's a guy that wrote a book. We're going to bring him in. He was a Hindu man, and he realized this one fact. The American Christian doesn't even understand why they have their Bible, and it's an amazing book. But I'll bring that book in. There's some amazing quotes that because he was so inspired by the Bible, and he's like...
And he's Hindu?
He was.
Oh, he was.
But because of the Bible, he was converted to Christianity based on just the book alone.
Is he from India? Or
Yes, originally. And so he wrote a book basically to inspire those of us who grew up in that world of the Bible, who have lost flavor for it or just kind of think it's no big deal. He wrote a book to inspire everyone. Guys, you have no idea how amazing this book is.
Yeah, well, bring that in.
Yeah, I'll bring that in. I'll have some quotes. It's a really encouraging read, but I'll bring that in tomorrow and do some quotes. But it's going to be really good. So please join us. You're going to love that show. And we thank, again, Zero Res, KC, Maps Coffee.
MapsCoffeeandChocolate.com.
MapsCoffee.com.
MapsCoffee.com.
Even though we do have chocolate. MapsCoffee.com.
ZeroResKC.com.
HookandReel.com.
3 Bears Bakery and Barbecue.
3 Bears Bakery BBQ.com.
Okay.
Nice.
So, and then, Drew, we're going to have to, there's more I know, but do you, we're going to have to shoot a couple of commercials here.
Yes.
So we are going to encourage the audience next week when we go to one of our breaks to call in and be on a live commercial.
I love it.
That's
be fun.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be an opportunity next week to be a part of a commercial.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can just call in. We'll tell you what the commercial's going to be about. You call in and just say, hey, I've had that. I really like that.
Yeah.
Yes, and we'll have a gift card for you from one of our food shows.
Ooh.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, we have all these gift cards we need to start giving out to our listening
audience.
audience.
Very excited to shuffle those out and give them away.
Yeah, we'll need to do that. So it's going to be a fun show next week. It's going to be really interesting. We're going to cover a lot of topics and have an opportunity to be in a live commercial.
7 to 9, right here on the station next Sunday.
AM.
7 to 9 a.m. That's right. Now, that'll be a cool weekend. And, Brian, what do you have planned for Thanksgiving? You going out of town?
I am not going out of town. I am staying at home, and I have a few people coming over. One some of the people are just by themselves now, not
right.
by choice,
right,
but because
life.
And I'm cooking a big traditional turkey dinner with everything you can think of.
Cream corn.
I am doing.
Yes.
Corn is a part of Thanksgiving. If people don't know that, we talked about that
on the food show.
We did.
Well, last week, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Talk about
Thanksgiving.
That they had corn.
That's right.
A lot of corn.
And then on the food show, you gave a recipe for cream corn.
Right, and we're not serving venison, though.
No?
No,
turkey. Going to go with the American turkey?
Going to go with the turkey.
I like it. I think we're having turkey, too. We've got over 25 people coming.
Wow, you're going to have a lot of food to cook.
We have a lot of food, a lot of people from out of town coming in, from family.
Wow.
Huge.
You going to be able to do the show on Sunday?
Oh, will I fit through the door, you mean? That'll be the question.
That's why we do radio, guys.
That's why I'm on a low-carb diet now. It's already.
I am too. I am getting some stuffing from Three Bears Bakery.
Are you?
Yes,
That's
I am.
amazing.
Okay.
I'm going to try it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us. We really value you. We value you as listeners. Don't forget to listen in next week. Call in to the show. You're going to be on a live commercial. Thanks. Love you. Bless you. We pray that you would have every spiritual blessing in the heavenly places on you today.
A KC tradition since 1957 and voted the best steak in Kansas City, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. Go to HerefordHouse.com for hours, new menu items, and to make your reservations. Follow Hereford House on Facebook and Instagram for exclusive specials. Hereford House, voted Kansas City's favorite steakhouse.